do it.
The North End. This is the North End.
Hello, North Enders. Welcome to the Last Call Live. Little different way to start the show today. It's me hosting, so thought I'd change it up a bit. I'm here with Eric, JP, and Connie, and myself here. We're gonna do. We're gonna go through some bits and pieces about what's going on with the league, but I wanna go around the horn, check how people are doing. Eric, you've been enjoying your summer so far, and hard to get you here, but for good reason. How's your summer? How you been?
Been busy. Lots of cottaging. Getting ready to bring the kids back to school in about 10-15 days. So summer's been good and a little too quick.
Yeah, the summer always goes so bloody fast. Yeah. JP, weatherman, soccer expert.
The storm has passed for California. The half of California is flooded. The other half is sunny and dry. And, we're surviving, making it happen. And Villa's actually giving me something to smile about. So let's do it.
That's exciting. Yeah, I mean, it is. We're going to get into that as far as like the things that are excited to talk about. Connie, good to see you here. I didn't expect you, and I'm glad you're here because it's gonna. It's going to balance out the show a little bit. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
I'm good, man. I mean, obviously very concerned with the start of the season for my team, but my team obviously lost this last weekend, but I will say this. I took solace in it knowing that you were in the stadium and your team won, and I was like, hey, it's a long game here. So at the end of the day, I was happy for you, and I'm really excited to hear about your experience at the Lane.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do that now since I'll ask myself, Brian, how you doing?
Yeah, Brian, how are you doing? How was it?
Yeah. I mean, it was incredible, guys. Eric and I had a quick chat before everybody else got here about like sort of the experience. But if you've been to your ground, you've support your club, you get this opportunity to kind of see them in this state. I've been to the Lane before. Long time ago, in the early 90s, and Nina and I had gone to an away game, which is an incredible experience against West Ham at Upton Park for my 40th, which is about 9 years ago. So this is the first kind of while it's been a while, and then of course the new stadium, which was just epic, and Connie, the result obviously stood and made it a little bit.
Hey man, you know what though? Hey. Big news, Harry Kane no longer there, but I got a real good feeling about this manager. Some of the football was tremendous. I mean, a little bit of column A, column B. I thought United were poor, but you know what? You really got to, I'm sure we'll get into it. Really got to give credit to that Spurs team in the second half. And again,
I actually thought, and we won't get into too much details, but I thought United were quite good in the first 25 minutes or so. But
well, we'll talk about it later. But man, more to come. I'm ready to rave about Basuma like I have been for a while.
Oh man, I know, and we talked about that. And to be at the ground like that, I sent some videos to you guys. I walked up from N17. I was staying in N17, so I walked up, and then I sort of filtered into the crowd, and there was obviously the controversy going on with protests and whatnot. Participated in some of that. Went to some of the pubs in the neighborhood. Just kind of just really like soaked it in, and then went to the bar.
You immersed yourself in the full experience.
Right in it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
I've been
incredible. It was incredible.
I've traveled all that way, man, to see other losses. Like I've had a couple of losses. So to go there and get a result against a bigger team with a great performance, there's nothing better.
I was prepared, to be fair. I was really I was. So I want to start off the show with a club checkup. We're going to go around the horn. Obviously, we've got 4 different clubs here representing. If you don't represent a club we're currently talking about, get in the comments. Give us a couple of words about where you're at with your club and what you're doing. What could just be like piss poor or whatever you might want to say about where you're at with your club and get in on it. But I'm gonna start with Eric because there's a ton of stuff obviously with Pochettino coming in and the amount of players in and out, the amount of money being spent. We could do a whole show on this, Eric. So could you give me or us and the people watching a synopsis of sort of first of all, let's start with the manager and then the ins and outs, and then how do you feel about the situation in total?
It's new. It's the new gaffer looks great. I'll be honest. He talks the right game. I think the players have bought in. You've heard them speak. They're willing to run through walls for this guy at this point, right? So the formation, it's going to change to a 4-2-3-1, which is a little different than what we're used to the last couple of years. Players' ins and outs are huge, right? I think we're 20 plus out the door, and I think 8 or 9 guys that are first-team players are in thereabouts are in the squad now, right? So lots of changes. Injuries have hit us early. So James is out.
Couple of quick comments, if you know, maybe, or check in on. So that you win, you have pretty good performance against Liverpool in the first game of the season.
We look
arguably
great.
Seemingly like, wow, this Chelsea team looks really, really good. And then of course the loss to West Ham. I don't think that the scoreline sort of represents what we all watched. I think most of us would agree that Chelsea were the better side.
Yeah,
except for some of the errors that big players who you just brought in shouldn't have made. How did you feel about? How do you feel so far about like the two games you played? And
first,
it's an anomaly. What are your thoughts on that situation?
It's 2 games. It's early, right? First game, I thought we were brilliant. To be honest, I thought Enzo looked like he could become a world beater, right? I think the new striker looks good. He's a worker. He's a runner. He stretches the lines.
Missing a pen was a big one too, wasn't it?
Are you talking about Jackson? Are you referring to Jackson right now?
Yeah,
Connie, I'm gonna get your guys' thoughts on.
Okay.
I just want to let Eric finish his thoughts.
I thought he's looked great. He hasn't put the ball in the net, but he's doing everything else but that, right? Maybe the final pass isn't getting to him, or he's not quite getting onto the end of that run where he's trying to stretch the D. But he's been phenomenal. Second game. I mean, let's be honest. The first goal, Gallagher, it was embarrassing defense, right? Wasn't even there.
Shocking, yeah.
Shocking bad, right? Second goal, it's a one-off 20-yard shot with 2 defenders. The goalie wasn't in a good position. And the third goal, sure. You can say Caicedo had a howler, but he looked slow. He could tell he had into preseason, right? You could just tell.
Yeah.
He's coming in a scenario where, especially with the money spent and the whole hoopla with Liverpool and everything else that's attached to it, it's pretty ridiculous. I feel like from my perspective, looking in, and I'm going to get Connie your thoughts on it in a sec. But obviously with Pochettino, being a Spurs legend and a hero for us for a number of years. You're in good hands, especially when there's a scenario where it's going to take a bit of time, and he's going to have to manage ego, and he's going to have to manage these different types of players and get young players playing better. I do think that Chelsea will not recover, but you know what I mean. They'll be very good this season. I don't know that they'll be in the top 4, top 5.
I think
but there's a conversation to be had there, and I think you guys are gonna play some really good football. I can't wait for Ange Ball versus Poch Ball at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's gonna be
good.
It's gonna be fun.
We're gonna be hard to play against once this team. Give them a month or 2. We're gonna be very hard to play against. Now,
both teams will be really difficult to play against for very similar reasons.
We don't have a ton of goals, right? I just don't see where they're coming from, to be honest.
Yeah,
the Nkunku injuries a real killer blow, right?
Yeah.
So Connie, unless Jackson starts filling the net, Sterling, he'll chip in with a couple. The wingers will chip in with a few.
Good, by the way.
Sterling did look good. I think Chelsea are probably right now. You could make an argument that they're the most interesting team in the Premier League for a number of different reasons, right? Like, I really think they nailed the manager choice. I'm a big Poch fan. The thing with Poch, though, is Poch has got a plan. I like the way he plays football. I like the way he manages. The thing is this: you make his job incredibly harder with the amount of ins and the amounts of outs, which I think equals one thing. You got to give him time. These first 10 games, to Eric's point, I think with some of the talent in there, Chelsea are going to be a hard team to play against. The problem I have is no idea what the formation is going to be like the final one. Is there going to be some tweaking?
It'll be a 4-2-3-1, like Eric said, for sure,
100%. But getting them to gel, right, Brian? Like after with so many new guys and getting that cohesion, sometimes it can take a season, right? And we don't know how long it's going to take. But I think Eric just touched on it a second ago. Same issue I'm having with my club, and I think a lot of clubs, is like, who's going to chip in with the goals? Because I'll say this, Enzo, for me, best player on the team. Love the Caicedo signing. I don't care what people, the internet's the internet. They're going to talk about brilliant footballers. To have that steal in the middle of the park, what it does is it frees up your attackers. It supports your defenders as well. I love what they're doing in the midfield there with the signings. But again, you talk about like Lukaku and like who's going to score the goals. I don't see it from the width. I don't see it at the middle.
It's a challenge for them.
Jackson's showing pieces of it. And then Reece James injured again. It's like, man, this guy's so good. Always injury plagued. So I find them a very interesting prospect. I think the key thing, if you're a Chelsea fan, be patient with the manager. It's going to take time. And maybe also just give it the season to let him get the most out of the squad. What do you think, JP?
I got to jump in, dude, to stop your like weird jerk off Chelsea fest.
Making good points. Where was I
I'm
wrong?
going to go with the actual opposite. I'm going to actually just look at what we see here. We've seen them get rid of every returning senior player. We've seen them go through a collection of managers in 2 years. We've seen an owner who doesn't know what he's doing and wants to play a 4-4-3. I'm just going to call a spade and say we see a team that's just chucking money at a problem, trying to fix it. Now, if you add Jackson into a team with older heads, with guys who know how to use them, with guys who will work with them, yeah, sure, cool. But if you're going to chuck him in and you're going to sell a whole team and buy a whole team in one window, I don't see where you're going to be fixing a big issue. It's going to take 8 months to gel. It's going to take a year to gel.
Yeah.
When you talk about this idea that last season you had guys who didn't have a place in the changing room and you've only sold one more guy than you've brought in. What's the, like, you're still having guys change outside. You're still like cycling through players like toilet paper. You're talking about buying guys that are going to have higher value. Tell me what guy they've bought that is going to have a higher value in 2 weeks. None of them. Right?
Let me quickly chime in there, JP. And then
they're
Eric,
not there yet. They're not going to be there for a long time.
I want you to respond to it as well. JP, I think what you're missing here in what David's point is, what I think Eric mentioned as well, what I would say specifically is what Pochettino does with these players. You can't just say it's the same as, and then ignore the fact that Pochettino is very good at, let me finish before you.
I didn't say a word.
Pochettino, you're about to. Pochettino,
I didn't say anything.
Pochettino is very good.
You can't say what I'm. You can't say predict what I'm going to do.
You did it. Pochettino is very good at managing a large squad, whittling it down to what he wants and what he needs, and then getting the best out of players who were seemingly not as good as they were before. He's done it. He did it at Spurs for 4 or 5 seasons where it was epic what he was able to do. Now,
but Brian, I'll lean on JP a little bit here, and I was in the middle. That might take and likely might take all season, and it might be a finish. It might be a finish of 8th or 9th, but it might be progress and it might be gelling. Well, I think this is it's a project. It's a project.
That's what I was getting to. My finishing. Of course, you interrupt me. I'm used to it. The point is that the Pochettino is a project. It is something he's very good at doing. He's done it previously, and he will eventually, if Bowley doesn't fuck it up. And of course, that's to JP's point. That he probably will make it way more difficult than it needs to be. But Eric, your thoughts on JP's rant there, and then we need to move on to another club.
Well, JP, Pochettino's only going to keep a 22 or 3-man squad, so the 30-man squad is not even an option for him. Number one. Number two,
that's a legit question I have. How many guys you guys have rostered that are senior squad players?
He's going to keep a 23-man roster, and that's
You're
it.
Going to sell 20 guys.
How many does he have right now, though? I think is I don't know.
Like 30 plus 30. I think it's 35.
Jesus Christ, yeah,
it's absurd.
Now
it's a big job. It's a big ugly job.
The young Brazilians, the young Italian that just got loaned out to Leicester, they're all going on loan. That's all part of the plan, right?
Yeah.
Lukaku may play with the under 21s all year. I don't know, but he's not dressing.
Crazy situation with Lukaku there. Holy shit, man.
For sure.
Yeah,
we've had our say about Chelsea. Honestly, we could do a show for each of these clubs, like easily, like a full hour, and talk about it. But we're not going to do that. We're going to move on to each one of our clubs. I'm going to JP, Aston Villa. Obviously, there's a ton of expectations for good reason because of how you guys finished the end of last season. Manager doing his job properly, bringing in some very good players, arguably probably the best window out of most of the clubs that finished in that top sort of 6 to 8.
I don't know if I'd say
let me finish speaking.
Go ahead.
No, you guys. I'm trying to lead it up to your moment here, JP. How do you feel with the manager, with the players you brought in, the prospect of what's going to happen for Aston Villa this season?
So I think we had a good window, a slyly good window, but I don't think it's breaking down the hatches. I don't think we're in the top 3 or 4 teams of having the best window.
Okay.
I think we do need 1 or 2 guys to leave. Maybe. I do
Who
think
would that
we
be?
need. Well, there's chances that Luka Dean's going to go, our left back, but he's been playing out of his mind.
He
Good. and I
played
don't
so
really
good
want-
on the weekend. I
But
don't
he's
get
our
that.
highest earner.
Who cares? He played awesome on the weekend.
But he's not a starter once Moreno comes
Should be.
back.
Should be.
He plays
You
great
need depth,
against
though.
narrow
You're,
teams.
you're in Europe now.
If
You're
we're
in
playing
Europe
against
now. You
narrow
need depth.
teams, lower level teams in the EPL, even I think he's a great player for that. But against some of the different, he's just a different type of gun
You
than
don't think
what we
he's
need.
good for depth, JP? You don't
I think he's
good to have-
great for depth. I don't
But don't
think he's
you need
great for
that, though?
depth at 175 a week.
But who else is depth in that position if you don't have him? there?
Moreno's our
No,
starter
who
when
else is
he's
depth? Not your starter. Who else is depth?
Revan. He's a youth player and he's good.
Any
not
good?
enough.
And
You're
Pau
you're
Torres
playing-
can play there too.
You're in Europe, JP. This is the naivete, I think,
Um,
of how you're thinking about this.
But we need 1 or 2 guys. I really trust the manager. I trust the guys he's getting. We're selling a bunch of our youth players. We're doing a little bit of the Chelsea, like let's sell them. Let's help our FFP this window, which I'm totally cool with because we're adding buy-on clauses. I thought the expectation kind of nipped us in the bud in the first game against Newcastle. We went in there full guns a-blazing. They came full guns a-blazing. And I think losing Mings in that first game just threw us off our rocker and we got decimated.
Yeah.
They just came at us hard.
Yes,
But I
man.
think we're starting to see us settle down a little bit. We thrashed Everton. They looked bad. And then we won our first
yeah.
game for the playoff into Europe 5-0 today
Saw that.
against
5-0.
Hibs in Scotland. And they
Get used
didn't
to
even-
that. They're terrible
we
in most of the
throttled
leagues
them.
in that division.
Yeah, it looked like a practice showing for us.
Feeling
So,
good though, JP.
I'm feeling good. You know what? I kept saying like 5th or 6th spot, and I'm gonna hold that like 6th, 7th, 8th spot is where I'm thinking
yeah.
we should be pushing. And if we can stay injury free for a while, I'll be happy because we are hurting with injuries right now.
We're
got
gonna
about
get
5 or
into
6
injuries
guys.
because that's a massive topic.
Yeah.
That'll be next.
Hold on, I want to ask JP, why do you think
Sure, go.
like I thought your window was exceptional. Like Pau Torres looks legit. Diaby looks like he could be the fucking player of the
Torres
year.
is a bit slight though. I think there's a worry for
He's,
his.
yeah.
he's
physicality.
6'3". He's a big guy. They don't say he's the most
Skinny,
physical, but to me, it's like I don't want to add 7, 8, 9, 10 guys.
Yeah.
But we need more than 3. And
Yeah.
we had a good like 13, 14 players, but past that, we're really low on the quality after the 13th or 14th guy. So I think we've improved like our top 15, but we need that 16th, 17th, 18th guy. So our bench actually looks intimidating. It's like, okay, you can bring somebody on like Bertrand Traore and he's okay, right? He's
That's
okay.
what I'm talking about with depth. Like
we
you
need
that
one
in
need
more.
it.
We need the depth. We need just
You
a
need an
little bit
opposition.
more
You just-
girth
You
to our
just
team.
argued about getting rid of your depth. Now you want
But-
depth.
Yeah.
I
All right. Bit
yeah.
confusing, JP. We're gonna move
Did
on,
you-
and we'll
I
get
want
back
a
to
new
that.
left back, that's why.
JP.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
younger Ramsey. That's the younger Ramsey. That's the younger Ramsey brother. Our Jacob Ramsey is staying. He's injured right now, but he's staying.
Yeah.
It was his younger brother who's like
The one
17.
I know is staying.
Yeah.
The one you know at Villa is staying. He's
Okay.
just got a new contract this last year. We sold his younger brother and have a buyback clause. And the younger brother's legit. He is good.
Yeah.
Eric,
Is
your thoughts
Cameron
on
Archer?
Villa?
Cameron
Archer's
Archer
being
out on
sold.
loan? Is he
He's
sold
being-
or out on
he's-
loan?
Apparently, deal is done to Sheffield United,
Yeah,
20
Saw
mil
that.
with a buyback clause. So,
Eric,
you know,
anything-
freaking
Eric,
Luke can stop talking about how we have this great up and comer. We sold him, Luke. He's gone.
Eric,
Goodbye.
any thoughts on Villa from your perspective?
Villa look great. Yeah, they look great on the weekend. And like JP said, I think week 1 just kind of hit him in the mouth, and it was done before it was started, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
It did.
But they look good. I think Villa can push for that 4th, 5th, and if England gets that 5th Champions League spot,
It's going to be a bloodbath that 5th spot. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it should be
You
fun.
know, like
Let's get to you, Connie. Let's get to you on Man U. It's a
Fuck.
two losses. I say it should be 2 losses.
It felt like
One win,
2
one loss.
losses. Yeah.
It should the first one you shouldn't have won. I mean, it's been a mess. Your midfield looks a bit mess. Casemiro doesn't look like he's up
Nope.
for it. Although he's playing beside 2 people who arguably are remotely close to what he's used to. How are you feeling with United right now? Especially after
good.
the result from the weekend. Where do you
Not
stand?
good. Well, I really struggled. I watched that game, and you were there, Bron, so you could probably speak to this as well. Like the first 15 minutes, I was like, man, we're going to beat these guys 3-0. The press This is this thing I hate about United. So, and it's not a manager thing for me, and I'll get to that. The manager wants to play a certain way. You were there at the game, so you saw it. The
Yeah,
first
I saw it
10,
from
15,
above, like with the full
yeah,
view.
you had a full view. So the first, you would agree with this, first 10, 15 minutes, United pressed the shit out of Spurs, like
Yeah.
110%, forced the ball out, created 5 or 6 scoring chances. And this is issue number 1. No finishing. We have the second highest XG in the Premier League, and we have 1 goal. There's
Yeah.
no finish right now. Anthony is a goddamn mess. Garnacho has been given 2 starts. Better not get one this weekend because he's been ineffective. And Rashford looks like a ghost. Our
Isn't
front
he your
line is
boy, Garnacho?
I know.
I love him.
Wasn't
He's-
he
he-
gonna
no.
win the player of the season?
no, he's still going to
He's
come
very
good.
Cow.
Guys, he's 19 years old. He's going to come good, but he has not played well to start the season. So the attack is an absolute disaster. No finishing, and the manager is leaning on this. He's like, we need to score goals, and he's right. But having said that, the midfield is getting overrun. Casemiro looks like he's 50 years old, and everyone's shitting, pardon me, on Mason Mount. Someone needs to start looking at Bruno Fernandes, and I bring it up on this show all the time. Below average runner in the Premier League. Brian,
Way
how many
below.
times does he get ghosted by Basuma and anyone else on that Spurs team?
I mean,
You-
Basuma goes to
Eric,
everybody.
Brian,
That's another
and
conversation.
anyone on this show could dribble once and go. He's an issue. Everyone's talking about Mason Mount. Bruno Fernandes doesn't have the pace to keep up when he's playing deeper in the midfield. So we need to hit the window. And I'm sorry,
Bobby.
we need to go the Chelsea route, and we need to play with 2 defensive midfielders and play on the counter attack with it. We were embarrassing. Varane is looking older. He got smoked on a one-on-one run with whoever's playing left wing. I think it was Sonny. Sonny almost destroyed him. So
Yeah, you guys got embarrassed on a number of occasions. and-
outside of Onana, who I think looks incredible, outside of him, what's a positive? Luke Shaw looks like shit, and I'm a big Luke Shaw fan. So it could be just a really bad start to the season, a bad preseason. The
To be
fitness
fair, you
looks
guys
like
lost your
a
first 2
major
last
issue.
season, so like there's
Yeah.
a chance for that to change. From my perspective, when I look at your midfield, and of course Casemiro in particular, he was used to playing with defensive midfielders around him, or at least defensive-minded players around him. He
Yeah,
has 2 10s in front of him right now, and 2 10s who
Yeah.
get really far forward, and he's by himself, with like a midfield of Basuma and Sarr and Madison, who are gonna like boom come at you. I mean, he's got no chance in that scenario. It doesn't
and
matter.
nobody
how
wants
good
to
he is.
hear it. No one wants to hear it. If you just took your kind of EPL hat off and you looked at strategy, another defensive midfielder with Mount who will run. Like you look at that outfield team against
Especially for
Spurs.
playing like counterattacking football, which is the design of what Ten Hag wants to do, or seemingly like it's more of a
Mount's never going to
counterattack.
be as creative or
It's not- you're not
offensive as
possession- you're not a
Bruno.
possession-based team.
Exactly. So in that sense, he'll be more effective. Bruno, I just think it's a free pass all the time, and I'm getting a little bit tired of it.
As your
You
club
gotta-
captain now too, he needs to do better.
You got to be able to play on both sides of the field, and you saw it in that second half. Like he couldn't get near a Spurs player with the ball. It was
Nobody
actually
could. Though.
embarrassing.
Nobody
No
could in the
one
second half.
could.
And we're going to get
Spurs
we're
were
gonna get
first.
Yeah,
First
we're gonna
to
get my
every
thoughts
ball.
on it in a sec. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That
Let's
Spurs
hear it.
midfield, Brian. That Spurs midfield looked strong.
Ooh.
For sure. I quickly want like Eric and JP. Do you have anything to add to the United scenario, or should I get on to the?
They're dog shit. I'll add in it for
Well,
both
I
of
mean,
you.
Johnny,
if
I
you
will
guys,
say,
if you
Johnny-
guys had bought Harry Kane, it would have been a different story. But you guys couldn't grow the cojones to fucking
Because he
jerk
wants
around
to go to an
Tottenham.
actual good team that can win trophies.
No, he would have gone to United.
He would have gone to you guys if you
Properly.
guys stepped up and showed you guys were a big club still. But you know what?
You
act
think
like
so?
a small club.
Yeah, I think
You
he
act
might
like a
have.
small
I
club.
He
think
didn't
we
wanna
could have
go to Bayern.
offered. We could have offered 150, and Levy would have still said no.
No, he would have taken it in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me?
He
No,
might
wouldn't
not
have.
have because of the
He wouldn't have.
competition scenario, but he would have charged more for sure. Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about Spurs a little bit here, of course,
Go on,
you know,
Bri.
they were the first half. I agree, very nervous. Looked really young, very young side, right? 3-4 players who are like 20, 21 years old.
We should have been up 2-0. You'll admit that. After 15 minutes,
Oh,
we should have been up
100%.
2-0.
I would say maybe a nil or maybe nil or nil and a half. Like
Probably two.
There's a couple moments where, yeah, you guys got in behind and we looked pretty sloppy. But there was the one specifically, the Bruno miss, which was blatant. Yeah, there's a couple that were offside, and there was a couple that our keeper made saves on. But the key thing I want to talk about is Ange ball and the amount of touches in the final third. are twice as much as they were in the previous two managers.
Oh yeah.
The amount of chances created, the amount of possession we went from an average of 50 to an average of almost 70, like 68% of possession. So the differences of what we're watching football wise, even if you're not a Spurs fan, at least we're not fucking terrible to watch anymore. It was just so torturous. And then of course obviously Yves Bissouma is just,
Woo!
I mean, it's a new signing. It's like a new signing, and that's that cheesy sort of thing. But when you think about how little he was used and treated under Antonio Conte, and to see him come in and do what he's done, 2 man of the match performances.
Can I comment on that? That
Dominating.
made me watching him
Just
at this
ridiculous.
weekend, and I've always been a big fan. You know how much I've spoken about him on this
Yeah.
show. It made me, after watching that game this past weekend, it made me really lose a level of respect for Antonio Conte. It really did. And I
Yeah,
hold him
me
in high regard as a manager, but I was like, listen, everyone knows what this guy is capable of. We remember the day that you guys signed him. We got on a show, and me and Paul, I basically wanted to punch a hole in the wall because I wanted him at United. So he is a Rolls Royce of a defensive midfielder.
Ridiculous. He's not even
Physicality.
just defensive, because look what he did in your final third. That's
everything.
When he skinned Casemiro with the back heel in between his legs to send Sonny, and I was just like,
Football's not about YouTube, Bri. Get over
no,
it.
that
It-
was a
it
YouTube. I
looks
was at the match.
nice.
I was at the
It
match.
looked nice. It looked nice. It was risky.
Created a chance doing it.
It's not
Against
even
one
that,
of the best
man.
midfielders on the
He's-
planet. It was brilliant.
He's first to every ball. He's physical. He's smart.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on him, man.
Yeah, I think just one note before we move on to the next segment. The one thing that I'm concerned about, I'm sure I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on it. That's obvious is that all of 4 of our goals that we've scored this season are not from our front 3. Like none of them have scored a goal yet. Now there's some assists there, and that's good, but and of course it's nice to get goals from elsewhere. You're going to need that when you lose 30 goals from your striker. But the front 3 in Richarlison, obviously Sonny and Kulusevski, none of them have scored goals. There's a couple assists here in there from each of them, but no goals in 2 games. I know it's only 2 games, but we need more from those players to make
Son
up
and
for those
Kulusevski
goals.
played well. You need a goddamn striker with Richarlison. It's not.
So I
working.
want to quickly note on that, and I'm going to give. I want to give Richarlison a bit more time. I recognize that's that thought, and I had it myself. The reason being is because there's the system that we're changing from to, and how it eventually will function compared to how it's functioning now means he will get more service, and he'll be on the end of that service. The service you see him all the time looking around, going, "Why didn't you just put the ball there?" I've looked like it. He's making runs. He's in the places. Right now, we're still doing transition game with hold up play, which Sonny's better at than Richarlison. Richarlison's shit at it. He's got terrible first touch. So I do think I want to give him like another 3-4 games, but I do think like if 3 or 4 games and he hasn't scored a goal and he's still doing this, then yeah, he's got to go. And I still think we need somebody to replace him anyway.
You got 100 million in the bank.
He is the first choice for now.
100 million in the bank. You got to buy a
It's going to
striker.
happen though, right? I mean, just
Yeah,
the stats
yeah, I
alone.
think so. I mean, 100 million in the bank. We don't know if we have 100 million in the bank. Arguably,
Passing's
it's
progressive. It's final third passes, not sideways and backwards all day with you guys
Yeah.
anymore, right? It's just
Yep.
It's just
Yeah, it's totally different. Get on the end
gonna
of stuff.
manifest itself into these chances, right?
And
night
again,
and
it's
day.
timing of runs, and it's like the when you play with people around you and you get used to sort of patterns of play and what they do. If you know he's going to make that run and you can see it in advance and kind of push the ball in between the lines and he runs onto it and boom, hits it. That's what he's used to, and he's number 1 for Brazil and scores a lot of goals for them. Not just number 1 by with a label, but he scores a lot of goals for Brazil in that 9 position with really good service from obviously Brazilian forwards who know how to give it to him. So it's kind of like, I think he deserves a bit of time. If given the time and he's still sitting there going, I can't score, then yeah, we need to rethink about what we're going to do
There's
moving forward. But
Brian, no way Spurs don't bring a number 9 in here before the end of the window either, right?
there is a way. I mean, this is Tottenham.
This
I
could be
honestly,
like Charleston could be it, right?
I honestly think, like, as much as I agree, there should be no way that's exactly what has to happen. Gift Orban has to come in, or Jonathan David. They've been talking about, like, these players have to come in. But if they don't come in, then this is who we got with Richarlison and Sonny. And then, Dane Scarlett's still in the books. He's done pretty good in the preseason, but he's not ready. He's 20 years old. He's a kid, but he's got quality there. So yeah,
You could also bring in a left winger and put Sonny at the number 9. We all remember.
Well, we did.
years
We
ago-
brought in Solomon. So Solomon's already in, and he's actually quite good. I would have there's a bunch of things I could do. Anyway, I could get into this for a while, but there's a bunch of different ways of utilizing the front 4 or 5 players that are on the books that you could shift them all around and get them to do different things that would arguably, maybe better for the style of play. Sonny's better up the middle. Kulishevsky could play as a 6.
He's a right winger. He's a right winger, and
he
he's
could
so
play him
good.
as a 6. No, he's or a 10. He's actually very creative in that role. He used to do it before.
Yeah,
Anyway,
10.
I can talk about this a while because I got all the anyway. Point being is that there's options there, but I do agree with like Gift Orban or a player like that is just going to score and get on the end of shit, and he's very dynamic. I'd like to see that happen. But
Are you big on Gift Orban? I was looking at him the last couple of days.
I mean, I think he looks incredible, but he's playing in a lower league. It's Ghent, right?
I know.
But he's
You know what?
He's
I know who
scored
you guys
every
need.
single game in every league he's gone to, and that
You guys need
that's all you
Lukaku.
can do.
You guys can go buy Lukaku.
Perfect.
There we go.
No.
30 mil.
Perfect.
Lukaku.
Disgusting. Please no.
No.
Please no.
God. Who
All right,
knows
so
where
we've done
that
the
guy's
club-
going
we've
to
done
end
the
up?
club checkup, guys. We've done the club checkup. Let's talk about injury crisis a little bit here. This is a thing that all of our clubs and every club is sort of dealing with. It's the amount of football, so it's short preseasons, the travel, all these different things. MCL seems to be a popular one.
ACL and MCL, man.
There's a lot going on. JP,
wrecking.
you see this with players that you coach and stuff, right? Like these big injuries. Like
Thank God, not a lot. I mean, I've had 1 or 2 over the past few years. I had a kid do his ACL twice back to back, 1 year apart.
Oh Jesus!
And it was the same
That's
thing.
brutal.
He did one, and then he was supposed to have surgery. They didn't do surgery. They decided to rehab it and do all that stuff. And then he popped it. That was it. It was done. But he came literally within 30 minutes of coming back and like doing light work.
What do we
He
make of it
toasted
though? With the league, like obviously you've got a bunch of injuries at Villa. Like what's going
We got 2 within 4 days. We might have another one, not an ACL, but we had 2 ACLs. First Buendia, then Mings. And that's Buendia didn't miss a game last year. He played every game. Mings played almost every game. So those are big kind of losses for Villa. And
Huge.
what I'm noticing from the league is these aren't guys coming in necessarily that are getting these injuries. These are guys who have been in the league. And I think it's showing how tough the league really is, that like a lot of these guys, they get 3 or 4 weeks off and then they go into preseason and they're working their bodies pretty hard to get fit again. And then they're getting these injuries are coming too soon. They're too soon in the season, and it's really a worrying trend. I'm expecting to see a high ACL, MCL injury list this year, where it might be one of the records.
Why are we making it seem like that?
Because the World Cup was in January.
Yeah, I agree. But these are common injuries in football. I think you got to chalk it up to a little bit of bad
but it's
luck.
like it's once a blue moon. It's one team gets one a year.
It's a lot in a short period of time for a bunch of clubs with the same injury.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that I'm an evidence-based guy, and a database guy. But when you see that happen that much right when a season starts, there's something to be said about.
There's something coming up.
We need
too
to
much
think about
football. Too much football.
Yeah, that's
Varane-
the obvious,
Nations
right?
League, boys. It's the savior
Yeah.
for the game.
Well, listen, bro, I was trying to approach about how you guys get in a deeper squad. You don't seem to think that's an issue. That's why squad
that's not
depth
what I-
matters
that's not
more
what I
than
mean,
anything.
no. I just meant
Well-
that Luca D needed to be on a lower salary. That's all I meant.
No, he played like 175 grand a week the other day, man.
He
He looked
did.
incredible.
He
So
got
Eric,
3 assists today.
quick one for you, Eric, with the
I'll follow up
injury
that injury.
situation.
It's not just soccer that with the ACL, MCLs. It's football, hockey. They all have it now.
Yeah.
The athletes.
It's common.
The athletes nowadays, they're getting stronger and stronger with this training programs, and their tendons can't keep up with the strength. And I think that's a big part of it, right?
Well said, Eric. Very
Yeah,
well
everyone,
said.
Yeah.
It is.
Very astute.
If you look back, I don't have the stats, but I guarantee the ACL, MCLs are a lot more prevalent in the last 10 years than they ever were,
100%.
right?
Absolutely.
Thank God the surgeries have gotten better, though.
It's the amount of football, too. These kids are 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're playing 70, 80, 90 soccer games in a year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty
And a
absurd.
3-week holiday? Barely 3 weeks. I bet you it's a 2-week holiday. And then they're back.
Money.
Unless you're a superstar and you can stay as long as you want until you feel like coming back.
I mean,
But yeah,
you
like
say,
the kids who are in the academies or need to be at training like at a certain time. It's 2-3 weeks max.
I mean, Kevin De Bruyne got injured too. I mean, he's not a spring chicken. He's pretty old, but like, come on, it's 2 games in. Did he get injured?
Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
Can we talk about that? Yeah, I have a question because I was talking with a friend of mine, real like big City fan. he mentioned to me, and I thought this was a really kind of smart comment. He said, I think this is the beginning of the end for Kev.
Yeah.
32 years old, a
Yeah.
lot of miles.
football.
A lot
He
of
is not
miles
quick
on those
anymore
legs.
either.
What do you guys think? Do you think the best of Kevin De Bruyne is
It's
potentially
gone.
behind us now?
It wasn't even
Let's
this last
hope so.
season.
I don't want
Let's
to.
be
I don't
honest,
want to.
this last
Hear me
season
out.
wasn't his show season either.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
been
want to
on
hope
the
You're
for
road.
right.
injury, but I also want City to be less.
But
good.
isn't it scary that like he won't play? Let's say he doesn't play at all this season, still win the league.
Yeah.
How fucked is that?
I think.
How fucked is
Well,
that?
you guys are okay having money, like just consume the league. So
I
it's
think
fine.
they do,
It's
but I
fine.
think it makes it a little. It makes it a little tighter, and that's like something.
Does it though? They don't have a hole in their squad at all, man.
No, they don't have
Like,
a hole.
and that-
They're 4 layers deep.
Who comes?
They literally are.
Who comes in?
Phil
and does what De Bruyne
Foden
does?
looked like a superstar the other day.
Yeah, against who though?
Newcastle,
Newcastle is
arguably,
good.
who are arguably going to finish in the top 4 this year.
I don't.
They
think
are
so.
City are
You're
so good.
crazy,
It
man.
just comes
Newcastle,
down,
they are
honestly.
insane.
It just comes. Oh, they look so good. Honestly,
look
get
so
ready.
good.
Get ready for Spurs Newcastle. Brian, I don't want to play them. They look very good. Their signings have been perfect. They look.
I think
and
they're
they
very
played-
well coached. I think they're going to be a
Dude,
good
they
team.
played well against
David,
City the other
no.
day.
Connie, hear me out for a sec. My only
Okay.
point is, and I've said this about Villa, I've said this about Brighton, I'll say it about every other team that is in Europe. When they get in Europe, that energy that you saw against the Man City in the first game of the season, when they were all fully trained, no injuries, nothing tired. Sure, I agree. They looked incredible. When they get, slightly deep into Champions League and they've got to manage their squad. Tell me how they manage their squad.
Second half of the season.
Emirates-
Yeah,
Emirates
you're right.
losing 3 or 4 weeks in the middle of the season. I just
Well, I
don't.
thought they-
I don't
They've
think I'm
gotten
not
a
saying
deeper
not-
squad.
I
They've
think
gotten
they're
a deeper
gonna finish-
squad.
I think they're going to finish 6th or 7th and go deep, like a little bit deep in the Champions League.
I got them top
And I
4.
think they'll have injury issues for sure.
Eric, JP, what do you guys think of Newcastle so far?
I like them. I'm
They're
a top 4
fucking-
guy.
They look
all the way
amazing
with them.
so far, but that has nothing to do with my
Like,
point.
and not only that, I think they've added enough depth in the summer, and
Yes.
they don't just look good and well coached. They look powerful. All their guys are fucking huge. They are 6'1", 6'2". They are machines, man. That
Dude.
midfield is that might be the best midfield in the league.
Sven Botman
That
and
might be
Dan
let me
Burn.
change that. That might be the best physical
They are.
midfield in the league.
Sven
They're not Man
Botman and
City,
Dan
but they're
Burn
fucking close.
look like the 2
You guys
best
are
center
getting-
backs
you guys are
in the.
getting a little crazy here. Best midfield
Honestly,
in the
Brian,
league.
if you get a chance this weekend, watch them if you can. I am shocked at how good they look.
Are you guys
right now.
watching?
I-
Are you guys watching their documentary on?
No.
Prime?
No, is it good?
It's quite good. I recommend.
I'll give it a whirl. But that's all I'm saying. I agree with Brian. And again, we're 2 games in the
You
season,
get a
so
little bit emotional.
we
because
gotta
they've
take a
done
little
something
bit. We gotta take a breath. It's 2
Whatever.
games in. All I'm saying is 2 games in.
You
They
know,
They look
If
the
you-
business.
They beat us up. I
There's
know.
3 people here. There's three people here who are used to being in Europe who understand what happens later on in the season. There's one. Who
Oh
isn't.
yeah.
They'll get it eventually later on in the season. But the point is, Eric, Connie, and I know as well, 14 seasons in a row up until last year in Europe in some capacity. How to manage that squad is incredibly difficult. It doesn't matter how good your first 11 is. Spurs in 2016, 2017 had the best first 11 on the fucking planet, but still couldn't win the league, still couldn't go far in Europe because there's no depth. And you lose Dembele,
For sure.
you lose,
We
you
haven't
lose
seen
those key
we haven't
players.
seen Newcastle
Enough
go
to
through a year
drop
like
enough
this,
to
right?
not peak.
Yeah,
It's
we
right
don't
But
know
to
what's
JP's
gonna
point, they made a lot of signings, and they're gonna make more. Like they're slowly getting there. I'm not saying they're
They're
winning the
managing their
league this
FFP,
year.
though. They
Yeah.
can't do too much. So
Yeah,
I
but they've been
think
good.
they
Came
put
in
their
all
eggs in
this
that
season right
EPL basket and try
Yep.
to navigate the UCL. If they get knocked out, they'll be fine with that. I think they
Yeah.
want to stick in that top 4, right? And
Yeah,
Eddie
yeah,
Howe-
sure.
They get to the quarters or the semi. Like they get
4
to the quarters
competitions,
or
guys.
past the
4
knockouts.
competitions. One of them being
Yeah,
Champions
they're
League.
not caring
yeah.
about.
They
two
got to
of them, though.
travel. They got to prepare for different teams in different countries.
Could be worse. Could be the Europa League.
That's like
No,
saying you guys prepare for four different trophies and stuff. Let's be honest. Man U, Chelsea, Man City, you guys don't give a shit about the Carling Cup or whatever it's called these days. You guys don't give a
We
shit
do.
about
We
the
They
won
FA.
it.
had a squad that they could deal with it.
Man U play
It's
rapists.
different.
They play their rapists during their
No,
freaking
that's
FA
not
Cup
fair.
games.
Oh, look at the pup, Connie.
JP, dear
Puppy.
Lord.
Puppy.
She said that
Yeah.
language is
We
out.
can
She said that language is abrasive.
let's just stop the podcast and look at the.
Well, do we want to talk
Straight
about
up.
that? Do we want to talk about United moving on from a certain someone? Thank God,
Oh,
took long
thank
enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of our topics, but I think we can all agree that like thank
right
you
move.
that's taken
Right
place.
move,
Have you
I think
guys?
it's a bit strange. I think it's a bit strange that like it took that long for them
I
to come out and
agree.
do it. It was sort of like trying to like play the perception a little bit. Like,
Feel it out. It's almost.
Yeah.
It looked like they were bringing him back, and then I think when it started to look that way, like the outrage that everyone came out with, they were like, "This, we
Yeah.
cannot do that."
arguably had an
Which
effect,
is-
for sure.
which is disappointing. I would have liked it if they cut ties a long time ago. It became more of a story than it needed to be. I think.
I
Did
think
you guys
that's
see
shocking
The
part,
Athletic?
right? Why didn't they just when the video and the audio came out? It should have just been
Couldn't.
we're
You
united.
can't. That's a
Sorry, pal.
contract. You can't do it. You have to negotiate with him. You can't just cut him.
Isn't it?
No,
Like
he's
a
been-
can of legal worms.
Dude, he's been paid since then, and even now he's getting paid like 100 and whatever
Yeah,
grand.
you guys are
You can
working to
absolutely
get rid of
shut
him.
him out from the lead, from the main squad though without a problem. Like,
Yeah, he
they
wasn't.
do it
He
all
was
the
like,
time
I,
with players for other reasons. So it's not
Suspended
don't
with
pro
pay.
athletes have a
That's fine.
conduct detrimental clause in it though.
No. Nope.
no, I think because he
Gotta pay
wasn't
him.
charged with a crime, it was like due diligence.
No, he
so
wasn't found
was still-
guilty of a crime. That's what it was.
Correct. Sorry,
Right.
but it's the whole innocent until proven it. So he was being paid throughout.
well, in his
So-
wife / girlfriend, like whatever she is,
And-
like
Baby
And
mama, no.
Here's a key
Ditch
point that we got to
the charges
remember.
and they're
He
getting
wasn't
married now,
found
so it's like-
innocent.
it's like,
Well,
He was
no,
never
well,
found
no.
innocent. The charges
Exactly.
were dropped. That which
You
is a
got it.
huge different thing. Like he could still be guilty. They just decided not to follow it. But
Well,
the
listen.
crazy thing is the Athletic was the one who came to them and they said, "Hey, we're going to release this story that's saying you guys are going to start telling everybody within the club that you guys are bringing him back." And Man U's like, whoa, hold on, let us deal with this internally. The Athletic apparently like gave him a shot because they wanted a quote to say, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And then they said, "Well, give us a weekend." And then they came out and said, "Hey, we're working on stuff. We're doing this. We're doing that." And so the Athletic then dropped their article that basically said like, "Hey, they're looking to bring him back." They paused all that. They waited a week, and now they're saying, "Oh, you know what? We've decided we're not going to keep him." Man, you were 100% going to keep him.
They were.
a week ago. 100%.
all right, guys.
were. But-
I agree.
Yeah,
I think we
but-
all agree on that. We can get into the weeds on that, but that's it.
Nah, forget it. It's not worth it.
No,
He's gone.
exactly. We've got topics of conversation, but that was one that certainly came up. Another one that is clearly, I hate bringing up the referees and the VAR and all the
You
shit.
have to.
It happens exactly. It's every single week. This slightly different one to talk about this time to start off. We got red cards, yellow cards, and time added on. Right, those are the sort of the things that are kind of affecting the way the game is played. And of course, obviously, there's been some handballs or some physical behavior, different things that have taken place in different games, different incidences that are like, what? I don't understand. Right? They were all pretty confused about. We're back here again at the beginning of the next preseason or post preseason, beginning of the next season with the same complaints, with the same situations, inconsistency, inability to understand exactly what's going on. JP, what are your thoughts on just sort of the general scenario now that we're in again with these sort of new rules of, time added on,
I
a
don't
yellow
know,
card,
man.
get a yellow card for that, and then
Here
boom,
we
you get
go.
another one, you get it red.
I'm going to do this
What-
real
what-
quick. I'm happy and pissed at the same time. I'm happy they are trying to address some things that they see in the game as a broken piece,
Yeah,
whether it be
I agree.
wasted time, whether it be the handball, the offsides. They're trying to address it. And instead of looking into Europe, looking to the MLS, looking to the French league, looking into other sports and saying, let's copy them. They're saying, let's do our own fucking thing and fail again. And it's stupid. The EPL needs to pull their head out of their ass, stop acting like egotistical maniacs, and just copy what works. It's not hard. Copy paste. Have the audio on the TV between the ref and the VAR. On the offsides, tie goes to the runner, thicker lines. Simple as that. Lines down every time you're going to show it on TV. And goodness gracious, get some common sense. You can't card a guy for a throw in where it took you 7 or 8 seconds to look for a guy. That's ridiculous. Like,
I think, JP, just to quickly add to that, I agree. Everything you just said, it was absolutely spot on, except the last part, the
wasting
time
time,
wasting.
8 seconds.
But the time wasting thing, I like that they're doing that because I want
Same.
players to
I
stop
see
doing
some
it.
stuff, but I don't agree
Same.
with all
No,
of
but,
it.
but the point is that they'll do it enough that they'll get carded enough that they'll eventually go, okay, I can't do that anymore. I got to throw the ball in. So things
I
will start
like
to
it.
pick up, and the time.
like it.
I like it. I think it's smart, but it's going to
Yep.
take. There's a bit of a growing pain there. Everything else you said though, JP, is spot on 100%.
I don't agree with 15-minute add-ons. I don't agree with
Why?
10-minute add-ons.
I haven't seen a
It's too
15-minute.
Too
I've only
long,
seen like
dude.
12
This is
or
where you're
13,
gonna get
but
those injuries.
it's a
For
lot.
who?
It's a lot.
I don't
And-
care. I'm selfishly, I want more football, and I'll admit that. I know it might
That's
not be right
fine.
for the player.
But here's
I'm
the
talking about
spin.
as,
It's gonna
as a
change,
fan,
though,
I want it. As a fan, I want it.
Yeah, but it's
I-
not. It's never going to be that. The bottom line is the point for them doing this is to give a yellow card, and then maybe sometimes they get a red, a second yellow, which we've seen, and that's sort of my point of this conversation. You get a yellow because you're time wasting, and then you get a second yellow for something stupid, and then they get a red, and they're like, "Oh shit! Well, that's why we told you not to waste time." So eventually, the player and the management will go, "We can't do this anymore, guys. We can't do the thing we've been doing that has pissed off most fans and most managers and most
and
referees."
helps win
Most
games.
people who like football has been pissed off by this time wasting nonsense. It needs to stop. So the only way to stop it is to aggressively make it uncomfortable and shit for like 2-3 months, and then 2-3 months down the road when everybody's
Gotta go.
not doing it anymore because they're like, I don't want to go off for a red card. That's fucked up. I'm an idiot now for doing
Here's-
that. Then we
here's-
I agree.
I'm
Well
with
said.
Brian on this 100%.
Here's the one
Yes.
thing I got to counter because I read a interesting article that basically said the added time is killing the lower teams that are winning in this extra time. This is guaranteeing that every bigger, better team with better players and more money are getting Fergie time. Every single one of them now get Fergie time. And the dark art of like, hey, we are on top, we are a lower team. Let's eat up some minutes where we can is now eliminated. And I'm kind of a little teed
I don't
off about
think
this.
You're one of the better teams
Oh.
now. You should like that now. You're one of the better
Let's
teams.
get Eric's thoughts because he's got some
The added,
thoughts.
the added time numbers are high now because the players have to adjust. That number is going to get lower and lower and
Well, that's
lower
what they
as
say, but
time
I don't know.
progresses, right? I'm all in
Yeah.
favor for the proper.
And I
added
think that's
time.
the point. The point is to
Same.
stop them from doing it. It's going to
That's
suck
right.
for a bit. It always does when you add something or change something in a rule, but it's actually the right rule. Stop fucking dicking around with the ball. Stop diving. Stop sitting there with a throw and pretending you're going to do it. The goalie, stop like pretending like you're going to place the ball. You're going to get called for it. If you go off for a red card in the next 2 or 3 months and that happens, you're the twat. And your coaches should and come to you and say, never do that again. If you do
I was
that
just gonna
again
say
and
that,
you
Brian.
go off and we lose because you fucking did that, you're at fault for it. And all the
That's
players
right.
will stop doing it.
Coaches and
That's
the players
point. And it's
will hold
gonna
those
be a
guys
painful
accountable in the
thing,
dressing room,
but
right?
it needs to happen.
It's creating a culture within the league, right? And this is the
Yeah.
beginning, and I love it. The next thing that needs to happen, and I don't know if the refs are in on it or the rules are, but like yellows and reds for diving with VAR.
Yep.
Like if someone's blatant, because once you eradicate that,
I think
that's
they are
going to
getting
bring
better at
in.
that.
They are, but like really hammered out, that'll bring in that North American fan base. Like we all want to grow the game. We love the Premier League. We want the Premier League to grow. The whole North
I got an answer
American
for
knock
all that.
on it is like the dive. Like we know the North Americans,
Pretending
particularly
like
the
you're in
Americans,
the-
they don't like the low scoring, but the diving is really a deterrent for a lot
Yeah.
of North Americans watching football.
You-
Hammer fucking down on that, and let's get it out of here.
I know
agree.
this is going to be a controversial point to many people because we can't go to every game. We are all North America based. What they got to do at one of the NFL and play one weekly game from every team stateside.
Too much travel.
No,
JP.
don't do that. Please don't
But
do
It-
that.
it's the
That's how you
time
grow the
zone,
game.
dude.
You want to grow the game in the
No,
United
they're
States.
growing
They
the game
come here
already.
on-
We're
they
all
come-
at Dallas.
JP, we're
They come
all
on
watching it. You don't need to
preseason.
do a
Yeah.
game stateside. We're all watching it already. Nobody needs to do games
Hey,
stateside.
Brian,
The
if
time
Spurs
zone
were
doesn't
Dallas,
work.
would you
make
go to
it, we
Dallas?
need to make it more entertaining from a style perspective, so that it is like isn't stopped, like it
Hold
isn't
on.
doing the thing that's shit about
Brian,
American football.
if Spurs were at Dallas for a game, would you go?
No,
Oh,
I wouldn't.
Dave.
Maybe if it was a Premier League game, maybe, but in theory, I don't like the idea because, like, let's say
No.
they're playing Spurs, right? They just played Spurs. Let's say they're playing Spurs next year in Dallas. Who is it a home game for?
Just you lose all of the
Don't
things
say
that are
Yeah.
interesting about
Yeah, it doesn't
football.
work.
Yeah,
It
you guys
doesn't
said you guys
work.
wanted to grow the game stateside by making
It's
rules.
growing
Okay,
stateside.
so maybe
It has been
maybe
for years.
play like an FA Cup final there or something,
Oh.
something like that.
No,
Not
that's
league.
That's
fucked
what I
up,
also
too.
said.
Don't do that.
I also
Not
said that a
league
second ago
games.
when you guys were arguing
You don't
me.
need
That's
to do
not a
any of
terrible
that.
idea, but
Just
the
make the
home and
game better,
away.
make it managed
Yeah,
better.
the home and away culture. There's only 38
You
games.
gotta
there,
have
man.
it.
It's
Only
such a big part of their
38.
lives.
Only 38.
Yeah.
Hold on. What's besides baseball? No other sport has more.
I'm a hockey fan. We have 82 games a
Yeah, what are
year.
you talking about, man?
We're
They play twice a week in
Canadian.
hockey.
Figure it out, pal.
Like the
I don't know what
entire
that's
season.
like. I've seen ice once.
You've never been to an NHL game?
No, I've been to NHL games. It's fake ice down here. Come on, dude. You guys actually build your shit on lakes.
No, we don't. It's in arenas.
Yeah, I want to see the implementation of a lot of what they're trying to
No
do.
way,
I think
Bobby.
has good intention.
Yeah.
They just need to do it in a way that is actually functional week in, week out. The inconsistency is the thing that we all complain about always for good reason. You know,
Brian,
Where
with
do you
right?
guys where do you
It's more
guys
the
stand
same,
on
right?
offside?
one at a time, guys. One at a time.
Yeah, no,
Stop
Eric, you
interrupting.
finish your point. Finish your point.
It's like deja vu with these rules, though. We're always scratching our head year after year, week after week, trying to figure out what's
keep
changing.
changing them.
And it all kinds of comes back to the same. We just scratch our heads and we can't quite figure it out, right?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's the point. Like they need to determine this is how we're going to do it, and this is why, and stay with it, and don't keep changing it each. Stay with it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yep.
What does Bobby say? Bobby says Dallas. Think
Start next one.
He's not wrong.
What do you guys think about the offside rule?
Played on ponds.
What do you guys want from the offside rule? Do you want, like, because JP, you're the reason I'm bringing this up, because you said tie goes to the runner. Do you want it to be like full ball? Do you want separation
I'm
between
stuck.
the player?
I'm stuck because so Villa played Newcastle and there's two plays that were
I
really
know.
close. And to me, like, it's fine if you clarify and it's, hey, there needs to be a gap. And I actually like the idea of like the whole body, like chest to chest, there needs to be a window of space in between them. I like that rule, but you got to start at the beginning. You got to do it properly. But they didn't put the lines down for those. They really just showed it and they're like, oh yeah. But it was super close. Like, you needed the lines. And I'm like, why didn't you do the lines for this one? You need to do if you're
I haven't
calling
seen the
offside-
lines this season, JP. I don't think.
No,
they've
I
done
have.
the line.
I have.
Yeah,
They're dropping them. They're dropping
Yeah.
them.
But now it's like, now it's throw them out here, there. And it's like, I don't understand.
Again,
There's no
inconsistency is the
transparency
when
there.
How they use shit, right?
There's no transparency there.
frustrating.
They need to just uniform across the board. All right, we're doing
Oh.
off the sides. We're doing a line check. Bam.
Okay, so I was listening to a game, and one person actually commented it saying VAR's trying to be faster and quicker, so they might find the lines in the VAR room quick and then call it off to the ref and then not show it on the TV. But apparently,
Yeah, I've
they
heard
are
that too.
using the lines in the VAR room every
That's-
single
that's
time on every
fine,
single
but
player.
You can bring it up then at the next.
You want to
stop
see
point.
it. I agree, because you commented on that earlier, and I agree with you, because you even said like conversations between the refs and what have you,
Yes.
and
Bring
kind of like the NFL.
conversations up.
I think that does bring the fans more into it as well, but I think there's a
Mhm.
danger there of putting the refs
I
at
think the
risk.
opposite. I think the
Well,
refs.
fuck the
then
refs at
show
risk. The
themselves
refs need
better.
to stand up for the shit they fucking keep pulling off on.
I know, but
basis.
football
God,
culture in the UK
so
is
Connie, just a
very
quick note on
different
this.
than NFL culture. Like it's eat,
hear me out,
live,
hear
and
me out.
breathe football.
If anybody watched the Women's World Cup, and when
Yep.
there was a controversial moment, and the women referee, got her on her microphone, and it went through the entire PA, and she explained what was going on and why, and it was like, thank you.
That's it. That's
all
all we want
they
to
have
know.
to do.
We need
That's
to know
it.
what they're thinking.
Explain the rule, explain the decision, move on.
Yes.
If you don't agree, you don't agree. But they've explained it, and we're not all sitting there going, I don't know what the fuck is happening. That's
The
what
refs,
Really?
the head of the refs agency don't want the refs to be responsible for that, because
they're
the
a bunch of
fans will.
pussies who don't want to get
Well,
the
no,
job done.
no, there's a good
that's not what
argument
he
here.
said.
I
Howard
just-
Webb
VAR,
said he wants
VAR-
the floor refs to do more.
VAR is over here, and if VAR makes a decision and it's final, the ref, it's not nothing to do with the ref other than like it's offside. This is what I've been told. When the ref gets called over, and I want to get everyone's opinion, and then the ref makes a decision from the video, that's when I want them commenting on it on the
Yes.
mic. But nothing
Yes.
more than contact, penalty, that's it. Because you got to protect the refs as well. I
That's
do
all
believe.
I said, though. That's all I said.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Yeah,
That's all I-
but the
that's all
normal
I'm
VAR
asking.
stuff, the normal like
I
offside
don't
this,
need
this,
them to
and
be like,
this.
okay, so we've got the line
Yeah.
going down here. We're
'Cause
using
that'll
the
slow down the
shoulder as
game.
marking point.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Because,
It's
Just the
explain
video
it
for the
what you
refs?
want.
yeah.
So-
and
so quickly,
the next time the ball's out of play, show the line.
When you
That's
go
it.
quickly, when you guys when we watch the post game thing and they have whatever ex referee on, right? Whoever it is, yeah, whichever ex referee is on explaining the decision. That decision and how they explain it is how it should be explained on the pitch, because they literally go,
agree.
"Here's the rule. Here's why we did what we did, and this is why it was called that way. This is what the referee's been told to do," and then everybody goes, "Okay, I can understand that because you've shown me and you've told me the reason why it's happening the way it's happening. Right now, that isn't what's happening. We don't know. We're like not sure of the rule. We don't know what's happening. It's confusing.
It's
as fuck.
still always going to be a little bit subjective. Like for example, Brian, game this weekend, the penalty shout with Garnacho. I didn't think it was a penalty contact wise on the hand, but like, what if the ball was going in the top corner of the net and it was going to be a goal? It was stopped by a hand. I don't know the ruling on that, right? Like, it's a hard one.
My understanding of, and it was explained by the referee as a pundit in the post game, and he said because of the distance between where the ball was kicked and where the hand was, and the hand was in a natural reaction,
Natural position, yeah.
So that's why it wasn't called. But
Audio,
why isn't the referee explaining that in the game? Because it took the guy at the end of the game 2 seconds to say the fucking spiel.
Yeah.
This is why we didn't call it. He's really close, and you either go, okay, that sucks. My team didn't get the call that I wanted, which is what we're used to pre-VAR. Is that the
what if I meet you in the middle? What if I meet you in the middle? There's a VAR announcer that makes the announcement in the stadium. It's not the ref, because then the ref's not culpable. I do think protection of the ref.
Does his job. It's not hard to do your job. Refs do it in every other fucking league. It's
Brian, I think the difference is the guy in the studios looked at 30 seconds of 8 different camera angles before he can make his mind up. Where this on-field referee should almost not even make a decision unless it's look at a tackle, decide if it's a red card. Let's go. But then the referee on the field.
Howard Webb is trying to make what the referee chooses on the field to be the call that we typically use. That's his goal. Is to he's like, I don't want the game to be refereed twice. So whatever happens in the moment, that's the rule, the call that we want to see being chosen to be the right call, even if it's the wrong call. They want to stay with what's happened on the pitch. It makes things happen faster, and it's better for the game.
I would switch it up altogether. I wouldn't even have the ref
correct at that point.
Anything that goes to VAR, I would rather, kind of like we do with the NHL, I'd rather it went to one VAR office and there's a panel there of ex-players, ex-refs. They look at, to Eric's point, they look at a bunch of images, leave the ref out of it so there's no bias, no anything, get the one VAR panel community to make the decision.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that either.
I think that's the way we go here moving forward. And then the ref just refs the game, and it's not his call. It's everything is on VAR at that point.
I think that's spot on. I think the Premier League should talk to the NHL.
I agree.
And say, hey, let's have one spot where there's people working. And that's just how it's called. I think that probably makes the most sense of what we've talked about so far.
I agree.
Yeah. JP, what are you doing over there? You
pet my dog.
You're thinking about
pet my dog.
Who does everybody play? Who does everybody play this weekend? I'm curious. We play Forest. Who do all you guys play?
Burnley.
Luton Town Friday.
Oh,
nice.
That's a hard game.
That's a good rebound game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys need that. Who do you guys play? Who does Spurs play?
Bournemouth.
Well, that should be
it could be a banana peel.
We've got a few games in a row that, like, based on the way we've been playing, I'm not saying anything's a given in the Premier League, but
who do Villa have?
Burnley, which I think is another one that could be a banana peel. We'll see.
Tough game, that Burnley.
It's a tough game. I believe it's at home because Burnley is one of those teams that are like updating tech. I could be wrong, but I think they're updating shit at their field. So I think Villa's at home again, and I think that's like super awesome for us. Nope, never mind. We're away at Burnley. I'm wrong. It's gonna be hard.
There you go. That was some empty fucking nonsense there.
I was like, I had heard that they were at home, but I'm wrong. So
all right, so we're an hour in, guys. I want to finish this off with a sort of around the horn scenario with standout performances from performance or whatever, like something that stood out about the first couple of games of the season. Eric, you go first. If I hope you've had a time to think about this. If not,
I think we have to start with Brighton. Brighton maybe got better than last year. They haven't missed a beat. It's
crazy.
It's bonkers, isn't it?
It's an incredible club. It's an incredible manager.
It's so well run. It's ridiculous.
It's so well run. These players they have. These guys they're not flashes in the pan. I keep watching these guys, and they look like top quality players. They're a conveyor belt of the next 5 years, it's just going to be 100 million every summer. Grab a guy from Brighton.
Yeah,
grab another guy.
you guys are basically paying them to get into the top 5.
You're the new Southampton. You're the new Southampton.
Yeah, like it's even worse than that. They're like,
Where's Matoma and Ferguson, right? $200 million
Shut up,
players
yeah.
for the next 2 years, right?
I'll say this though: if they have the season we all think they're probably going to have, if they have another top 6 finish, that manager's getting poached 100%.
Oh yeah, he might even get poached before the end of the season. And not only that, yeah, I'm just leaving it at that. But yeah,
Where do you think he's going, Connie? What would be the Real Madrid?
Chelsea. He's going to Chelsea.
It would be a bigger club in the Prem, or it would be like he'll be the hot kid on town at the smaller club, and clubs will be knocking on his door because man, he is turning water.
It'll depend on the club because there needs to be like a level of club that is a step up. Currently, right now, Brighton are in that step up, but below the sort of the big clubs. He's like they're so well run. They've had great players come through. They continue to get better, and they've gotten better under him. So he's going to go up. Like so, it gets less and less of places he can go, but the level of quality gets bigger and bigger. So
how have we gotten an hour into the show and not talked about the Matoma goal from the weekend? Holy shit, is that guy a player?
You can talk about it right now, Connie. Go for it.
Oh man, it was Sonny-esque from like a couple of seasons ago, like from not quite halfway, but man, he looks a player. Like
he is a player. He's
yeah, he's got the goods. Brighton, what a call.
So, Connie, on your thoughts on that, is a big standout?
Yeah.
Anything that you're looking at?
Diaby looks a lot of Diaby looks good. Madison is fitting in great. Basuma,
I think Tonali looks good.
Yeah,
Tonali
Enzo at Chelsea still looks class. I do think that Newcastle back line and just in general the midfield, they're looking really good. Man City haven't missed a beat.
I'm not asking you to give me every standout. I'm trying to get one from you, Connie. He's like talking about the whole Premier League stands out to me right now.
I'm trying to think like one standout.
It's not enough. Just pick one.
It's tough to go. I'm with Eric.
All right, moving on from you there, buddy.
Brighton. I got to go Brighton.
You're Brighton as well. We've already gotten Brighton from Eric. So
I can't.
JP, your standout so far. Don't pick Brighton.
I'm going to go with Tonali. I think Tonali looked good.
I
think he looks really freaking good. I think Newcastle looked freaking good.
They do.
Overrated.
Yeah, like no, dude.
You got to get on board, man. They're the real deal.
I don't get on any board, but I do get on the board of messing with you because it's too much fun.
No, they're good.
Yeah, I think
we lost Eric. Well, he's coming back in, so we'll bring him back in, and then I'll do mine, and then we'll say goodbye. So mine is obviously it's going to be a Spurs player.
Why?
Yves Bissouma. Just because of how bloody good he's being made, like I'm happy to think about other players, but 2 man of the match performances, dominating midfields against some of the best players. He's just been that good.
I'm going to call you out a little. Not one. I asked you about him several times last year. I'm like, why isn't he playing for Conte? Why is he playing? And you never had a solid answer for him. Do you know why he didn't get a look in last year?
My solid answer was I don't know why Conte doesn't see what most other people see in him, and it was just arguably tactics. He literally said Conte came out and said he doesn't understand how I want him to play, and I don't think he suits my system, so he's not playing because of that.
That's ridiculous.
To me, that just says a lot about Conte and his rigidity and his inability to sort of shift and change with the players he has. Bissouma is and will be, I would say will be one of the best midfielders in Europe for many years. Probably will leave Spurs and go play at the highest level. He's that good. He's so good. It's ridiculous.
He's no different than what he was
3 games last year.
No, he played late. Well, he got injured for quite a bit of period of time.
I remember that. Did he ever get
a
real run?
He was out for a long time, and that was the beginning of the season.
Never got a run. Ask Brian, will tell you. Never got a run. And I'm going to be honest.
2 games back to back.
In full transparency, he's not playing any different these first 2 games than he played that full season at Brighton. He was
the system's different. The system's different.
So he'll get forward a little bit more.
He's much further up the pitch, and he's creating more. He's in the opposition box. He's just ridiculous on the ball. It's just absurd.
Box to box.
Nobody can touch the guy. And some of the best midfielders, he's just making them look average. So
do you now understand why Paul and I were clamoring for him for 6 months before you signed him?
I said when we got him, he was the best signing of the summer. I said that. Like I thought he was. I still think he was. But we just got. He's now coming out being like the best signing of this summer, and we didn't do anything. So we got very lucky.
Caicedo's gonna fit in just fine at Chelsea. Keep an eye on him as well. He's a player, man. People sleep on him, and him and Enzo together in a midfield. They got to figure out the attack, and I still think they got to figure out the defense. But that midfield is.
They're going to fit really well together.
Oh yeah, that's a huge signing. I know it's a lot of money, but trust me, those two together are going to be mint.
Sorry about that, guys. Sure, we got
the money's absurd, right? For a CDM 115, it's absurd, right? But
we paid 30 million for Basuma, and he's far better than Caicedo.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Not even a question.
We're 2 Ks in. Let's see how the season goes.
I'm just gonna say, if you look at the top 10 bought players, there's not many that actually do work out. So we'll see what happens because Chelsea want to keep spending 100 million on guys.
Did you guys see Brighton's? Did you guys see Brighton's Twitter post with?
No.
So they posted a Twitter post with the foul that Caicedo did on at the end of the game and tripped him. They said no
refunds.
No
yeah,
refunds.
I did hear that.
Yeah, the price tag is heavy for a lot of these players,
Right.
man. But Caicedo will be fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine, but I don't think he's a Basuma. I think Basuma is a better player, but I could be wrong, and I'd be happy to if that is the case.
He's progressive too, though. You watch.
They actually are very similar players.
He doesn't just sit back. He gets forward. He can pass the ball. He can run.
For sure. Maybe it's just an experience thing and a bias thing, but that we've seen Basuma in a midfield in a good team in the Premier League, and he's done it consistently for
the difference between the two is Basuma is a little bit more attacking minded and a little bit more skilled than people think moving forward. Caicedo is Conte 2.0, where he will run around the entire midfield and hunt you down like a dog, and you can't put a price on that. Well, 115 million apparently is the price, but you want that more than anything. You want a dog on a ball.
I think it's what most teams strive for. We've seen the teams that don't have it struggle if they don't have that sort of tenacity and power and strength in that 8 position in any system. It's incredibly important. I think on that note, though, lads, I think it's time to call it an evening. Last call live. Thank you for watching,
Joe boys.
Thanks for being here, Connie, Eric. It's been a bit, but good to get caught up with you on your situation. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the buttons. I'll hit all the things. We'll be here next week. We're going to keep doing this Wednesday nights. Tune in live. We do it live. We don't expect everybody to be here, but the numbers are going up. We got 5 tonight for this time.
There we go. Brian, I can't wait for this video about you at White Hart Lane, man.
I sent all the videos to Paul. He didn't do anything with them. But
he
yeah,
will.
I got busy, guys. I'm busy. Yeah.
No, he'll do it. He'll do it.
Guys,
I want to see the footage as well, man. I'm excited to see
I
that.
do too.
There's a video on Tottenham on Tour that I made that is basically this. So go to Tottenham on Tour. It's my other channel, folks. If you're here and you're not,
oh, thanks. Yeah, don't
cross-pollination.
Go there and watch it. It's pretty dope.
Forget about the North End. Go to the other one. Thanks, Brian.
Well, hey, you know what? The other one makes me money. Cheers, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Later, guys.
Talk soon. Bye.
This is the North End. This is the North End.